So I'm here to talk about my experience inside reparative therapy and what a year and a half of reparative therapy looked like for me. I grew up as an Orthodox Jew in the Jewish community in Crown Heights. I always knew that I was gay, but it wasn't until I was 17 that I realized that I was going to have a serious clash of faith and values, being that my family and people in my community, there were no openly gay people, and my siblings were getting married, my brothers were getting married to women, having kids, and I didn't have any plans to do anything other than that. A rabbi encouraged me to seek out therapy that specializes in this field, and I was directed to Jonah, which is a Jewish group called Jews Offering New Alternatives to Homosexuality. When I met with the director of this group, the first thing he said to me was that anyone can change. It's possible. You just need to work really hard and work hard enough. He also said that if you don't try hard enough, you won't succeed at changing, which is what motivated me the entire time to keep doing all the weekends, all the group meetings, and the other unconventional things that I'm going to talk about shortly. I went to my first meeting when I was 18, and I was going on and off for about a year and a half. But the most disturbing part about my experience was what happened during my last session with a life coach. I say life coach because he's not licensed by the American Psychological Association or the American Psychiatric Association. He just goes by the term life coach. His name is Alan Downing, and he's a self-described ex-gay himself. And it was during that session where he asked me to start removing my clothing as part of removing layers of shame surrounding my sexuality. I communicated to him that I was very uncomfortable with this process. I told him that I don't want to take my clothes off. I don't feel comfortable exposing myself, and I didn't feel it to be therapeutic. He just said that this is what you need to do in order to change. This is the work that you have to do in order to change. And if you don't do it, well, you go under the category of someone that didn't try hard enough. And so with great reluctance, I removed my clothing, one layer at a time, until I was standing there in front of a mirror 5 feet away from him in a locked room without any clothes on. When I was standing in that position, he asked me to touch my private parts as part of embracing my masculinity, which is supposedly the reason I was gay, because I didn't feel my masculinity as strong as a real man should. I once again objected. I was standing there frozen, it was quite cold, and I was frozen out of fear, out of shame. I didn't know what to do, and I said to him, this doesn't feel right, and I don't want to do that. And he said that, once again, this is what you have to do for the work to be done. And after standing there for about 5 minutes, I carried out his instruction. And the session ended about 5 minutes later. I might note that the undressing part and the undressing part took much longer than the redressing part. And I walked out of that room and kept that session to myself for a very long time. I blocked it out. I almost forgot about it. And I said, I'll never talk about this again. I'll never think about it again, because it was a really bad day for me. It was only about a year and a half later when I was preparing a panel. This was after I'd come out and I was talking about my experiences in reparative therapy, that I accidentally mentioned this to someone, and then it all started coming back. And when it started coming back, I started realizing that some of my friends who had also attended Jonah had had the very same exact experiences with this life coach. Now, they weren't ready to come forward or go public because this is something really hard to talk about publicly, even privately. But I know that because Jonah is still in practice today, and because Alan Downing is still practicing today, because I know a young 18-year-old who's being forced by his parents into Jonah today to see Mr. Downing, it's because of that I'm standing here and that I'm telling you about what happened to me, something that didn't just happen to me, but happened to people all over the world. And my message to people who are considering this therapy, well, think twice. And remember that just because some people think you're not okay the way you are, just because they think that you're unacceptable to God or society, they're wrong, and they're the ones that need to change. You're acceptable the way you are. Thank you very much.